Hi, this is Sid, and I am just doing the quick video that I wanted to attach to my blog that I did, showing you some of the different programs and software that I tried, plugins to get some nice sharpening effects. There are so many choices out there that you could do, and I could have made this file twice as big. There's just so many different ways to do this, but I chose a few, and I thought I'd demonstrate them to you and tell you which ones are my favorites. So let's get going. Here's the original image. Here it is backed out, but if I move it up really close, you can see I'm trying to get everybody to kind of look right here where the stem is and where the detail is down here in the flower. So let's load the first one on. The first one is Topaz Unsharp mask in Topaz Studio. I didn't think it was too good, so even with their noise adjustment, reduced noise adjustment, I just didn't like it too well. So that's not the way to go. If you're going to use Topaz, don't use the Unsharp mask in my mind. Do use the detail filter. Their detail filter has always been one of the best on the market. A lot of people like it to finish up their images with this Topaz detail to get it ready for printing. But bringing it into Photoshop, I feel like Topaz detail does a very good job, and I've always liked it. And the settings are in the blog, so all you have to do is go to my blog if you want to know how I did this. But you can get to it from either Topaz Studio or Topaz Labs. It's still detail. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is On1 Effects or On1 Raw Effects 2018, I guess it is here, and I don't like this too well. It is way too much contrast. Their dynamic contrast is an excellent filter. If you try it out, if you have the program, it's one of the best, but it doesn't work to sharpen in my mind. I didn't like it. It was way too much over the top. But their sharpening filter was excellent, and you could see the difference there. See how, I mean, everything just looks sharp. No extra noise or anything involved in it, and I thought it did a great job. Settings are once again in my blog. The next one I'm going to show you here real quick is the Nik Color Effects Pro 4 Detail Enhancer. I have used this filter many times because it's such an old program, but it still works pretty good. You might need to reduce some noise after using it. I could see a little bit of it in the stem and everything again, so might not use it just for sharpening, but if you're in the filter anyway, it's probably okay to check out. Lucis Pro 6.0.9. Unfortunately, they don't make it anymore. What a great little filter this thing is. Putting a black layer mask on it and localizing the sharpness does a great job bringing it in right where I wanted it. I use it a lot to sharpen images. I just like the effect, but it does cause some saturation issues, and you might have to back that out with like a hue saturation adjustment layer or a levels adjustment layer. Not a problem though. Luminar structures. Didn't like it. Overdone. Worked good, but needed an adjustment layer to adjust it a little bit out. Now it looks a lot better if you do use the levels adjustment layer with it. The one though, their detail enhancer worked pretty good too, but it actually added noise. So you can see the difference between them here. That one didn't add the noise when I used structure. This one did add the noise. Okay, Aurora. John Paul Caponegro is the guy who thought or mentioned that you could use HDR software to sharpen. So since I have Aurora 2018 HDR, I thought I'd try it, and I really liked it. But you'll notice the opacity had to be brought down to 52%. Otherwise, it's just over the top. But it actually did a pretty good job, so try it if you have the software. It does give a pretty good job. Alright, the next thing we did here is the Photoshop Unsharp mask. This time I used Sebastian Michael's tip of adding a Gaussian blur and Sharp mask together, and as far as I can tell, it does nothing. I tried all kinds of settings. I could get nothing to work on this particular type of flower. Might work great on landscapes, but not on my florals. Same thing with Scott Kelby's Unsharp mask. I tried his settings. Nothing. I don't see anything. That said, I actually took a duplicate layer into another, made a new image, and I used the Unsharp mask with it. Used Scott Kelby's settings, and again, they're in my blog. And you add that on twice in lab mode. So you go up here to mode, go to image mode, and you switch it over to lab mode, and then you apply the Unsharp mask twice, and then change it back over to RGB, and sure enough, you get, I think, possibly the best result in my mind. I see nothing changing other than the sharpness in this image. Down here, you can see in the details in the flower below, you can see the edges just look good, no haloing, just really good. So that is definitely one to think about using. Okay, the next one I used here is the the shake reduction filter. I use it a lot when my images are just a little bit off. But it does, you have to localize the effect, otherwise you get some extra noise. So you got to watch this one. But it does work pretty good if you localize it. Okay, the next one is the high pass filter. Lots and lots of people use the high pass filter. I set this one to a radius of 18 pixels and overlay, but you can get, you could try soft light. You get a little bit softer effect with it. You could change it over to, I know Lisa Carney likes to use linear light. Then she reduces the the opacity down. And that's okay too. It still gives a pretty good result. I still think it adds a little noise and everything, but it's really not too bad. So I see why people like to use it. This right here is the Sharpen Tool. I was surprised at how good it did. The Sharpen Tool just set to 50%. I believe I had it on. Let me see what it was on. 30% strength. That's all I did. Did a pretty good job. They have improved that Sharpen Tool a lot over the last few years, but it is totally a localized sharpening. It doesn't affect the whole image. Okay, I did throw one in here of the Photoshop doing the camera raw filter, and I couldn't get it to do much at this point. I prefer using it at the very beginning when I'm in Lightroom. I didn't think it did too good using it in the as the filter in Photoshop. It might work a lot better on landscapes again, more detail. Okay, the next thing I did is I used hard mix, changed it over to hard mix blend mode. Now, this is really weird. I actually put a levels adjustment layer on there to stop the saturation. But if you look at what this does, the fill is down to 7%. Watch what happens when it's up at 100. It's crazy. It reduces your image down to like 6 or 8 different colors. That's it. But if you move it all the way down to like a 5 or a 6, it gives a really nice sharpening result. And if you put a levels on top of it, you can kind of counteract that darkening effect. So I liked it. Okay, now this is my favorite, was the Smart Sharpen filter. And this is one that Blake Ruda showed me how to do. The settings again are in my blog. You can tell that it just gives a nice effect, almost as good as the lab, and you don't have to take it, make a duplicate document to use it. So I will, the red ones were the ones that I like the best, and I will discuss those in my blog. So if you want to follow me, you can go to my sidspics.wordpress.com, which is where my blog is, and I'll put a link to that down in here in the YouTube. And my Tidbits blog is at digitalladysid.com, and those are where I just do whatever I feel like and have lots of fun. So have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.